Who will be the next Hull City manager? Hello there and welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where it is the day after the lovely day before. I woke up this morning feeling fine, got Hull City on my mind as 24 hours ago, Tim Walter was relieved of his duties as Hull City manager, and we look forward to whoever the new man is coming in for the role. In the meantime, we do have Dawson Ball to look forward to. Saturday, Middlesbrough away. Andy Dawson will be taking charge of the squad as interim caretaker manager for the time being until the new man is appointed. We are informed as well that the new man will be a long-term aspiration, so it'll be none of this 6 months malarkey or a man to tie us over till January or something like that. The new man will be someone that they're looking to invest in long-term, which is probably for the best. You can take Tim Walter's reign as that sort of interim short-term deal, although he was projected to be the long-term man for City, but with what he did, yeah, you've lost the opening few months of your season, haven't you? You've really picked up 3 wins, quite a few draws and some losses over that stretch. Currently sitting 22nd in the table. Need a man to dig us out of that hole and pretty much do what Rosini did when he took over from Shota Arvelazid a few seasons ago, pretty much around the same time in a similar situation. So it is pretty much cut and paste from there. Of course, we probably won't be getting Liam Rosini as he is doing quite nicely over in Strasbourg in France, really projecting that team up the table, a team that are very low down in the French tier of the first division, and they're at points looking like they're trying to vie for some European football. But this isn't the Liam Rosini show. This is the Hull City show. So let's go through who could be the next Hull City manager. I've got a list of the live betting odds and the live probability at the time of recording. So we're going to go from the bottom of the list all the way to the top. I'll blaze over the bottom part because they're quite low percentages to be likely not going to happen. And then the top 5, I'll go into a little bit more detail and tell you which manager I think should be and could be the next Hull City manager. So let's go over to the list. At the bottom, coming in at a 5.9% is Brian Barry Murphy. 6.7% of being the next Hull City manager is Jimmy Thelen. Stephen Schumacher is a 7.7%. Michael Thomason is a 9.1%. Frank Lampard is 11.1%. Of course, that's probably not going to happen as he is going to be becoming the next Coventry City manager for the time being. That's one of these short-term deals by the sounds of it. But Coventry City might pop up a little bit later on as we talk about the man at the top of the list. Dave Challinor is a 14.3% and Robbie Keane has a 20% of being the next Hull City manager. That's the odds of 4-1. So the players, everyone else higher than this, has a higher percentage of being 25% or above. The top man has a 45.5% chance of being the next Hull City manager, according to the bookies and all of the rumoured goings on around the club. With the top man, it's going to be a good one, I reckon. So we'll first of all go over to Matt Bloomfield, who has a 20% chance of being the next Hull City manager. So, Matt Bloomfield, you're probably thinking, how can he be the next Hull City manager when he currently is doing a job, and a very good job at that? He is the current manager of Wycombe. Now, if you don't know what's been happening this season in League One, or what's been happening with Wycombe this season, well, let me tell you, they're currently top of League One. And that may not sound like a big feat. You might be thinking, why are we searching for the man who's at the top of League One? Surely shouldn't we be trying to get someone who is doing something maybe a little bit better than League One? But the League One's table this season, it is quite a tough league. You've got Birmingham City obviously in there. They're currently 3rd, so 2 places below Wycombe, a whole 5 points below them in the table. And that Birmingham City squad, they're looking stronger this season than they did last season, and they was in the Championship last season. Of course, they picked up Jay Stansfield along with a load of other really talented recruits. You've got Wrexham in there. Wrexham getting all the money from Hollywood and projecting themselves up the Football League. They're currently sitting 4 points behind them. You've got the likes of Huddersfield, Barnsley, Reading, Bolton, big teams like that. that are really looking to get themselves back up to the Championship where there was there a season or two ago. So Wycombe at the top of the League One is a very, very good thing. And that is all down to Matt Bloomfield. So Matt Bloomfield, he has managed 2 clubs, Wycombe being his second of the 2, Colchester United before that. He only managed them, I say only managed them, for 645 days, so coming up on 2 years in February. And obviously there is the option of him leaving his position at Wycombe and coming to Hull City. He has a preferred formation of a 4-2-3-1, which isn't that far of the realm of possibility of what Tim Volter was doing at Hull City. And that's probably the best thing at the starting point, is to get the players. It'll be a quick turnaround for this new manager, and so you want the players to have someone who has a style of play that isn't that far away from what Volter was trying to get with the players. Yeah, Volter was talking madness and the players weren't understanding it, and that wasn't going to work in a million dreams. But with maybe a formation being very similar, that can probably bode itself well to the players really excelling into the new manager's style of play very, very quickly, which is something that you want, especially coming up into these Christmas fixtures when you've got 2-3 games a week, and you're going Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week throughout the festive period. You're going to really want a manager whose style of play the players can pick up that quickly, and with a manager who's doing it at the moment in Wycombe in League One, which, yes, it's a step below where Hull City are, but Hull City are probably playing like a side that probably would be struggling to get back out of League One this season. So certainly very, very good that. We'll look at his points per game. It's currently a 1.68 points per game with Wycombe. Before that with Colchester, it was a 1.19 points per game, that being. So very, very interesting acquisition if it does come about. I don't think it possibly will. I think Wycombe will be trying their best to keep hold of him, especially with the season being in somewhat of the early stages. I doubt Wycombe will be going, yeah, I'm happy in losing our man who's got us to the top of this really tough League One table, and then them hiring someone else and probably falling down the ranks and maybe not even getting out of League One. So I think that Matt Bloomfield, yes, he would be a good acquisition for Hull City manager, but I think that the Wycombe factor and the fact that he's currently in a job may provide a bit of a sticky situation for Hull City, and I don't think that one will come about. The other 4 men I'm going to mention are currently without a job, so I don't think there'll be any club problems there, although there may be one for a man that we will talk about in a second. But first of all, we'll come on to Steve Cooper. Now, Steve Cooper has been a Hull City managerial favourite pretty much since Liam Rosenior got sacked off a couple of months back. Steve Cooper, of course, making his real name as a good quality manager for taking that Nottingham Forest side up to the Premier League for the first time in so many years, and they're currently still there. Of course, not fully down to him, but because he got them up there in the Premier League. His last managerial role was over at Leicester City until pretty much a week ago when he got relieved of his duties over the weekend after suffering another loss against Chelsea. But he is going to be a good manager at whatever club he goes to. Of course, it was a turbulent time over at Leicester City, coming into a really, really poor squad in a really poor situation, fighting for his life pretty much in the Premier League. Still managed to bolster a 1.07 points per game, which isn't too far off the mark, especially if you're going to take into terms the fact that it is a really below average Premier League squad that Leicester City have, and what they were looking to achieve in the Premier League. Go back to his time over at Nottingham Forest, where he spent 819 days as manager there. He managed to bolster a 1.44 points per game across a span of 108 games. Before that, the manager of Swansea City from 2019 to 2021. So he has a lot of experience around this level. Swansea, Nottingham Forest, and obviously he has managed quite a few number of games in the youth rankings of England. So there's the links there between some young English players that could possibly come in. We've got the January transfer window coming up. There is them like that likelihood there. So Steve Cooper, a very, very nice fit there. And like Matt Bloomfield, he has the 4-2-3-1 formation that he prefers to stick with, which, as I've said already, fits nicely into a manager coming over in a very, very high-pressure time to have the players go, oh, I know this formation, I kind of know how to play it, just played it really poorly with the last manager, but coming in and going, yeah, I know the position. I know the players that can fit in these positions. I know what can happen. Yes, you're going to look for a shake-up. You're going to look for players maybe not playing in them positions because Abdeshamir, he's not doing that well out on the wing, is he? We know him as a number 10 is best for him. And obviously there is a few injury problems at the moment with City, of course, a few players out for the season. But of course, as I said, January transfer window coming up, so the new manager will probably be looking and going, Hull City, they've got an owner that's willing to spend some good players on the cards already. I come and prove myself up until January, and then at January I can probably get a few good quality players in to help me boost this side up. So Steve Cooper, definitely not a bad shout, but of course with his recent going-ons at Leicester and having a hard time at Leicester, would he be willing to come to a side that maybe didn't look at him too far in the summer when we signed Tim Volta, and maybe looking and going, I don't really want to do what I've just done at Leicester at Hull City and fail again there. So a very, very tough one for Steve Cooper, but he is there on the manager shortlist. Another one that possibly won't happen, just talking about Leicester, well, their new man is sounding like it might be Ruud van Nistelrooy. He is on the list for possible next Hull City managers. And we've just seen him as of a week or two ago being the Man United caretaker manager. He managed 4 games for them with 3 wins, 1 draw. That's a points per game average of a 2.5. Of course, a very short spell, so it is inflamed stats there. Before that, he was the manager of PSV over in the Netherlands. Managed them for just under a year. Managed them for 50 games, 34 wins, 8 draws and 8 losses. Not too bad. Again, it is a 2.2 points per game. So very, very good stats for a very, very young manager. Very inexperienced at that, but still got very good stats around him. This acquisition, if Hull City made it, would be very similar to the acquisition of Liam Rosenior, a manager who has proven it quite extensively in a very short period of time, but maybe just needs that full project for himself, like Liam Rosenior had with Hull City, where he took them from relegation zone to 3 points out of the playoffs at the end of last season. That would be a very similar thing with if Hull City managed to get Ruud van Nistelrooy. As I said, it's probably not going to happen, as I think Leicester City are almost certain going to grab him as their next manager, with him leaving his post at Man United as they've picked up their new manager. But certainly would be an interesting one if he does turn down Leicester City and maybe comes to Hull City. Very unlikely, but it'd be an interesting one nonetheless. And we're coming into the top 2 men now. Now, it could be really either one of these last 2 men. The first man I will talk about is Ismael Kartal. Probably my least favourite out of the final 2 that we have to talk about. And this one is probably going to be in for the fact that he has the Turkish links. He has the Fenerbahce links with Acun. Acun knows him personally. He is still a very, very good managerial option. Probably not one that I would pick to be in the current situation, but I'll talk about that in a minute when I go on to the final manager that we have to talk about. But Kartal, in a job right up until the latest appointment for Fenerbahce, so right up until the end of June 2024, this year, he was the manager of Fenerbahce, was with them in the most recent spell for 58 games, 44 wins, 7 draws, 7 losses. a points per game of 2.4. Of course, then lost his position, and Jose Mourinho took over. Of course, he is unhappy at his job at Fenerbahce. I highly doubt, though, with all the people going, oh, we could get Jose Mourinho, he's links with our journey, he's unhappy in Turkey. I highly doubt that he'll be leaving the job at Fenerbahce to come to Hull City in the struggling situation that they're in. But Ismael Kartal could possibly. It would be an interesting appointment after going from a man who's Tim Volta unproven in the English leagues to another man who is unproven in the English leagues. But he has done it, and done it better than Tim Volta has over in Turkey, and he's done it across a spell of quite a few different clubs. Fenerbahce being the club that he has managed for the most. Being an assistant manager there in his early days back in 2010, managing them in 2014 to 2015, and then coming back in 2022, and then returning in 2023 to 2024, as I say, his most recent spell, and really doing quite well, all positive. All of his time at Fenerbahce has all been positive. His first spell there, his first one of his first managerial roles, as like a high-profile manager. He managed to get 30 wins, 10 draws and 6 losses across the span of 46 games. So he has a lot of links with Fenerbahce, a lot of links with Acun Ilıcalı. He would be a nice man to grab in, maybe not for a long-term deal, as his average term as a coach is 0.5 years. So this would be someone that Hull City may be looking as a man to tide them over maybe until the next summer, or maybe a year and a half's time. It's probably not the best fit for City, but I have to talk about it just because of Acun Ilıcalı, and this is the man that probably Acun will be going, I want this man, I want this man. But he certainly wouldn't be the best one. As I say, it's the 4-2-3-1 formation again. Hull City are known for playing that under Tim Volta, and so it's that easy adaptation fit there. Of course, he probably won't bring as many new backroom staff in as Tim Volta did, so you will have some of the current lads like Andy Dawson and people feeding into him and stuff, but it probably wouldn't be the best fit for City. Whereas the last man, well, he's my favourite to be the next City manager. And he's a fantastic man. He probably shouldn't have lost his job at his last club, and that being Mark Robins. Of course, he has just as of a few weeks ago lost his job as Coventry City manager, but he is a fantastic manager and he knows the Yorkshire area well. He was before manager of Coventry City, where he joined them in 2017 all the way up until 2024, so nearly 3,000 days in charge of Coventry City. Before that, he was the manager of Scunthorpe United, Huddersfield, Coventry again, and Barnsley, Rotherham. Knows Rotherham quite well because he played there as assistant manager and became the manager later on. So he knows the Yorkshire area well. He knows the league very well. He's been a very, very good manager at this level for quite an extensive period of time. As I say, Coventry, they were not that long ago, they was in a playoff final, only a goal shy of being in the Premier League. So it's a very, very good manager at the end of the day, and it's one that we're lucky to have on the market. Coventry City, I think they made an error sacking him, and I think the Hull City should capitalise on that error. The first error they probably capitalised on all season, and sign Mark Robins. He is the first manager that we'll talk about today that has a different formation than the 4-2-3-1. It is a 3-4-1-2, which I think fits in this City squad as well. You can have 2 strikers up top. You can have Bedia, and you can maybe have a Burstow, a little bit of a mismatch there. You've got the back 3 with the options of wing backs that can fit into City. You can maybe get Giles out, especially with having so many wingers out injured. You've got not Kamara. Kamara's fit now, but you've got 2 wingers, 2 high-profile wingers out injured in Balumi and Liam Miller. You've got some wingers are coming back from injuries, and some picked up their injuries fresh again in Cynic. So you've got plenty of players injured, and I think his formation fits perfectly around what City have got at the moment. you could have a Cody Drama on that right-hand side, and maybe put Coyle in as a centre-back for the season, alongside Jones and Hughes, and then McLaughlin come in as a substitute for one of them. You've got Giles up on the left in his sort of suited role where he runs down the left-hand side and swings crosses in as what we signed him for. You've got the options of midfield. You've got Gustavo Puerta, who I've been impressed with this season. I think all these players, you've got the cam roll. It's perfect. There's no wingers, so you can't put Omer out on the wing. You can just put him in the centre. So it's perfect. I think that this managerial choice would be the perfect fit for City, and he would be the perfect long-term fit for City. His average term as a coach is 2.5 years. Why not look and go, yes, I made the error. I'm Adrian Jolly. I made an error going Tim Walter, going and saying all these things about style of play and stuff. And then going, you know what, let's get this guy and Mark Robins in. And if you want that exciting style of football, he goes for, in his last term as a manager at Coventry, as I say, across a quite extensive period of time, nearly 7 years, or over 7 years, in fact, sorry, as Coventry City manager, he managed to pick up 1.41 wins on goals per game average. Of course, scoring conceding 1.28 on average in that span as well. But it will average up to a 1.5 goals per game. That's better than what Tim Walter's been doing. We've been averaging lower than a 1 goal per game average. So that means that majority of the games we're not even scoring, where Coventry City under Mark Robins have been doing well. Of course, this start to this season maybe didn't start the best for him, but still it was quite a stupid decision to sack him. So Mark Robins, you probably can tell, is my pick to be the next Hull City manager. He comes in with the best odds as well. And Hull City apparently have made contact, and he is the heavy favourite to be the next Hull City manager and to be that long-term fit. Of course, during the transfer window coming up, that will appeal to him as well, and maybe pick up a few of his former Coventry lads that were quite nice and worked quite well under his system. And as I say, his formation fits perfect into what City have at the moment, fit perfect into what City want to play. And I think that if we appoint Mark Robins, you're going to get the fans back in your swing, Adrian, and you're going to get really out of that relegation fight that we've plummeted ourselves into with having Tim Walter for far too long. So yeah, Mark Robins is my choice. Let me know down in the description who do you think the next Hull City manager will be, and if you are excited for the next wave of Hull City, as it seems like we're having this conversation every few months now. Of course, Dawson Ball to look forward to on Saturday, so make sure you stay tuned on the YouTube channel, as I will keep you up to date on everything Hull City, on all of the new managerial information, on what Dawson may be looking forward to on Saturday, and loads more. So make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video. Up the Tigers!